Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jesse DUPLANTIS. Thank you for tuning into This Week with Jesse. We're going to be talking about aircraft. You know, I've owned 3 different jets in my life, and used them and just burning them up for the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, some people believe that preachers shouldn't have jets. I really believe that preachers ought to have and go on every available voice, every available outlet to get this gospel preached to the world. Now, I talk about this in a lot of my messages, and I want you to see this if we can, Caleb. Get it back. This is the very first plane that I purchased for the Lord back in December 1994. And I said where I began. And then the second one I purchased was in January 2004, where I used to be. The one I'm flying right now, and it's been with me 12 years. I purchased it in January 2006, where I am. Now I want you to get a shot of this one, Caleb. Now this is the Star Trek Enterprise. This is where I'm going. Praise God, what I believe in God for. Let me just say this. We're believing God for a brand new Falcon 7X so we can go anywhere in the world one stop. Now people say, my Lord, can't you go with this one? Yes, but I can't go at one stop. And you see, if I can do it with one stop, I can fly it for a lot cheaper because I have my own fuel farm. And that's what's a blessing of the Lord. But this one here, I have to stop, and then you pay those exorbitant prices for jet fuel all over the world. We've asked the Lord Jesus Christ, and we're believing God. In fact, he told me, Jesse, it was one of the greatest statements the Lord ever told me. He said, Jesse, you want to come up where I'm at? And I said, what do you mean? He said that before you ask, I'll answer. Isaiah 65:24. I said, yes, Lord. He said, I want you to believe me for a Falcon 7X. So I said, okay. But the first thing I thought of was how I'm going to pay for it. And then that great statement that he told me in 1978 flooded into my mind and said, Jesse, I didn't ask you to pay for it. I asked you to believe for it. Now think about that for a minute. So I like all people to know exactly what I'm doing in this ministry. We don't hide nothing whatsoever at all. I am a blessed man. You're looking at a blessed man. And we never ask you to give something that me and Kathy don't give ourselves. We believe in that, and that's what it's all about. So think about this. This was paid cash. This was paid cash. This was paid cash. And the new one's going to be paid cash also. Now, let me make this announcement so everybody can understand this. I don't own the plane. This belongs to the ministry. If Jesus tarries and I go by the way of the grave, the next person that's going to take this ministry will use that, just like we use all the different things that are happening in our ministry today. In other words, if I go home to be with the Lord, you think the buildings are going to shut down? No. Whoever takes the next this ministry, they're going to use the buildings that we built debt-free. Think about that. And let me just say this. We've saved over $20 million building this complex debt-free. That would pay a lot of money toward that wonderful new 7X. So pray about becoming a partner to it if you'd like to. And if you don't have to. But I wish you would, because let me tell you something about it. All it's going to do is touch people. It's going to reach people. It's going to change lives, one soul at a time. I don't want to learn how to fly it. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in preaching the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. I really believe that if Jesus was physically on the earth today, he wouldn't be riding a donkey. I really believe that if Jesus was physically on the earth today, he wouldn't be riding a donkey. I really believe that if Jesus was physically on the earth today, he wouldn't be riding a donkey. Think about that for a minute. He'd be in an airplane preaching the gospel all over the world. I'm excited also about the United States Embassy is now in the nation of Israel in Jerusalem. What a blessing of God. That tells me that the end times it's coming fast, ladies and gentlemen. And he said, go in the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Now, how are we going to do that? I can't live long enough to travel by car or by ship or by train, but I can do it by an airplane. And I tell you one thing, I've learned something. I'm like a horse. I can sleep standing up. Just like that. They say it's amazing how boss get on that plane and he just grabs an hour nap and then he'll preach and go for 16 hours. That's what it's all about. So I wanted to kind of let you know. Let me say it again. This was a Citation 500 right here. Then we bought a West Wind 2, and then we bought the Falcon 50, which is now, we've had it for 12 years, and then we're going to the Falcon 7X. Now, Caleb, if you'll switch around, I want them to see this picture here. This is the picture of all 3 aircraft that we've owned at one time. It's not about possessions. It's about priorities. Now watch this. This is the one we're flying right now. This one is still in ministry. This one is still in ministry. Isn't that amazing? Every one of the planes. This here now, Pastor Happy Caldwell, Little Rock, Arkansas, is flying that plane. Mike MIILLION is using this plane here to minister to people in Central America, and then the plane that I use now to preach the gospel. But I tell you what, we want that 7X. We're believing God for it. And I tell you what, if you pray about it, I believe God will speak to you about something, and you'll be blessed by it. And you know what? Like I said, we don't ask you to do something that we don't do. And I mean that sincerely. Thank you for tuning into This Week with Jesse. We wanted to give you information. Our ministry is very open, and we like people to know what we do and why we do it, because you deserve that. I'll see you next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.
But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not.